Article search for your critical thinking assignment at Purdue University Northwest. This video is designed to help you search for articles for the critical thinking assignment in Nursing 390. Even if you've used library databases for other courses, I think you'll find this demonstration useful since the search strategy is different from the one we most commonly use. I'll be focusing on the use of search limiters in the CINAHL database. Please remember that I'm providing sample searches only. You'll need to consult the checklist for your specific class in order to ensure that you're following your instructor's criteria. We'll begin from the library guide designed to support your Nursing 390 course. Many Blackboard course sites provide links to their corresponding library guides, or you can access the guides from the library homepage. From the homepage of the Nursing 390 guide, I'll click on the tab for Week 1 Research Article Help. This, of course, is the page on which you found the video demo that you're watching right now. There are additional tabs with information that may help you review elements of the assignment, such as primary versus secondary sources. In order to access the CINAHL database, I'm going to click on the Nursing Databases tab. You can see that the library subscribes to many databases that support nursing research. Today we'll be using CINAHL Complete for our search. The letters in the name CINAHL stand for Cumulative Index to Nursing and Allied Health Literature, so the focus of the entire database is on nursing literature. Please note that you can also access CINAHL and other databases directly from the library homepage. When you access databases from off-campus, you'll be prompted to enter your PNW username and password. This is the same login you use to access Blackboard. Logging in this way verifies that you're affiliated with Purdue University Northwest and have permission to use our subscription databases. To demonstrate the breadth of the CINAHL database, I'll do a quick search for a couple of very basic terms. A simple search for nutrition returns over 87,000 articles. And a basic search for fall prevention will net over 8,000 articles. Clearly, CINAHL is a very large resource. CINAHL is the most appropriate tool for this assignment because it offers several unique search limiters that can help you meet the requirements of your checklist. In order to view the full range of options, we'll begin by clicking on the Advanced Search link. This page looks very similar to the basic search page. However, it gives us a set of 3 stacked search boxes at the top. Usually, you'd begin your search strategy by choosing search terms to enter in these fields at the top of the page, much like we do in Google or other search engines. However, because the parameters for choosing an article for your critical thinking assignment are very specific, we'll begin by focusing on the various search options below. These will help limit your results to match the criteria on your assignment checklist. First, we'll talk about elements of the assignment that CINAHL can help you to identify, and then I'll point out a few elements that you will not find a shortcut for. Perhaps the most useful option here is the one that allows us to limit our search by date. Different courses, and sometimes even different sections of the same course, will use different date ranges in their assignment checklist. Please review the checklist for your class to ensure that you're entering the appropriate dates for your assignment. For purposes of this example, I'll enter a date range from January of 2016 to June of 2017. Again, the dates for your assignment may be different. Your assignment checklist may specify that the article you choose should come from a peer-reviewed journal. CINAHL provides us with a checkbox for that here. Peer-reviewed journals require articles to be reviewed by experts in the field prior to their publication. We can also check a box to limit our search to articles in English. Another criteria mentioned in your checklist is that the study sample uses human subjects. So we can include this checkbox. Finally, the assignment specifies that your article should come from a nursing journal. Look for a drop-down box labeled Journal Subset. Scroll down and click on Nursing. This will narrow your search to journals that have nurses as their primary audience of readers. So at this point, we've used 5 methods to focus our search. We've specified a date range. We've used 3 boxes to limit our search to articles in English, with human subjects in their sample population, published in a peer-reviewed journal aimed at the nursing profession. At this point, we're ready to begin typing in search terms. But first, I'm going to click on the search button without entering any search words, just to see how much our limiters have already narrowed down our search. You can see that out of the hundreds of thousands of articles in the CINAHL database, the criteria in this assignment checklist, as shown here at the left, have already narrowed the pool of potential articles to about 13,000. Of course, not all of these articles will meet the assignment criteria. There are some factors that the database does not have a shortcut for. For example, your assignment calls for a primary study. As you open individual articles, you will need to check to see if the article is merely informative or an actual research study. In most cases, it's easy to spot a primary research study because they'll contain familiar section headings such as objective, methods, data analysis, results, conclusions, etc. In article number 2 from our list, I can glance through and see headings like aim or objective, methodology, results, discussion, etc. So I know that this is a primary research study. Sometimes these headings will be reflected in the abstract right at the beginning of the study. If you open an article and do not see these terms, then it's probably not a primary research study. You'll need to choose a different article. Another assignment criteria that you need to determine by hand is that the first author is a nurse. Although CINAHL's Advanced Search does contain a checkbox for this, unfortunately this information is not always coded into the database at the time the articles are digitized. New articles are added to the CINAHL database immediately upon publication. However, many months may pass before indexers have time to examine individual articles and code the author's credentials into CINAHL. So for this assignment, I recommend that you ignore the first author is nurse checkbox. If you do check that, you'll find that your search returns very few, if any, studies to choose from. So for every article of interest, the first things you'll need to check for are whether or not the article is a primary research study and whether or not the article has the author has an RN in their credentials. This article, number 4 on our results list, appears at a glance to be a primary research article. Right here in the abstract, I see headings like objectives, methods, results, conclusions. However, the credentials of the author, first author, show that he holds a PhD and pharmacy degrees, but no RN. So this article would not be eligible for the assignment. Unfortunately, not all publications provide the credentials of the author. And if you can't find the author's credentials on the face of the article, neither can your coach. So you'll need to return to the results list to select another article. In the case of article number 30 on our list, the abstract clearly shows the elements of a primary research study. And we note that the first author, Stacy Haverstick, holds an RN. So this article meets those two criteria. Another assignment component that must be checked by hand is that the study should be quantitative. You'll need to use your coursework material to understand quantitative methods and scan the methodology segment of the study to check this. Remember that quantitative studies produce measurable, quantifiable results. A qualitative study examines perceptions and experiences and will produce non-numerical results. In the results section of number 17, here are the results. We see lots and lots of block quotes. This shows the participants' perceptions and opinions. Because these results are not measurable, we know that this is a qualitative study. Your assignment also requires a study with both descriptive and inferential statistics. Sorry guys, you're on your own where statistics are concerned. You'll need to use your course resources to ensure that you can identify these statistics. Neither the database nor the librarian can help you there. At this time, you can begin browsing through the list of 13,000 articles to find a research study that fits the other parameters of the assignment, or more likely, you can try typing in a few broad search terms to find an article of interest. For example, again, I'll enter the search term nutrition. Recall that there were over 87,000 articles relating to nutrition in the database when I did a sample search at the beginning of this video. Of those 87,000 articles, there are now only 313 that meet the search criteria that we've entered so far here at the left. Similarly, we performed a search on the term fall prevention and found over 8,000 articles. I now find only 71 potential studies for fall prevention. So these search parameters have dramatically narrowed the field of articles we can use for the critical thinking assignment. As you begin to scan through the articles, a good tip to remember is that CINAHL keeps track of your different searches for you. By clicking on the Search History link, you can see all of your previous searches. From our initial search, number 1, S1 here at the bottom, and working upward, the list shows the search terms that we entered, the limiters that I used, such as date range, peer-reviewed, English language, etc., and the results. You can easily return to a previous search from this window. This is handy because most people like to begin with a broad search term and narrow their search by stages. Eventually, your list of results becomes too small and you need to back up a step or two to get the best results. When you examine a list of results, you'll see a brief description immediately below the title in blue. Here you find the author names, the name of the journal that the article appears in, the date, volume, issue, page number, etc. This is the typical citation information for that article. For most articles, you'll also see a PDF full text icon. Clicking on this icon should open the article for you. Here we see the full text of this article. Some articles will not have the PDF full text icon, but instead offer you the option to check for full text availability. Different databases are licensed to provide access to different journals, and some publishers place copyright restrictions on full text availability. If CINAHL does not have full text access to an article, it will offer to search across other databases at Purdue to see if it can find the full article for you elsewhere. Clicking on the Check for Full Text Availability link may provide you with a link that will open the article for you. In this case, the CINAHL database is pointing us to a link in the Wiley database. Clicking on this blue link will take us to the article's main page, and here we see the red and white PDF icon that will display full text for us. So even though CINAHL did not have full text for this article, it was able to connect us with a source that did. There are, however, times when CINAHL will not be able to provide a link to the article that you're seeking. Here, the database is telling us that no match has been found to any library resource. So unfortunately, you won't be able to view that article. Be sure and read over the Do Not Choose instructions and the list at the end of your assignment checklist. For example, the checklist says that you're prohibited from using continuing education articles. The list also instructs you to avoid systematic reviews since they're not primary research. So be sure to avoid using any articles where you see the terms continuing education, CEU, or systematic review. Once you've selected an article that meets all the requirements, you'll need to save the full text in PDF format and send it to your coach via Blackboard. Your method for saving a PDF will vary depending on your Adobe software and what internet browser you use. Often you'll see a black or gray menu bar near the top of the page that has icons for printing and downloading the document. These are sometimes pop-up bars, as seen here. Here's the print and download icons. In other software versions, you need to scroll down to the bottom of the page and then hover your mouse around the bottom of the document to get the pop-up menu bar with the save icon. Or your software may allow you to use the File and Save As menus to save an article. Whatever software you use, it's just important to make sure that when you save the article, the Save As type either says Acrobat, Adobe Acrobat, or PDF. We want to make sure that the document saves in PDF format so that your coach will be able to open it. This concludes our video on searching for research articles for the Critical Thinking assignment. My contact information is listed here on the library guide for Nursing 390. Good luck with your assignment, and please don't hesitate to contact me.